It's August 14th, it's InfoWars Nightly News. I'm Paul Joseph Watson. Coming up on the show.
Tonight, the ruling class accelerates the planned economic implosion as the Federal Reserve warns big banks to prepare for a worst-case scenario. Then, a new brand of facial recognition technology developed for Facebook. Check in with your face and verify your account. Plus, FAA documents show that unmanned drones over U.S. skies pose a huge safety risk. Meanwhile, defense contractors have spent $2.3 million lobbying Congress to open U.S. airspace. And finally, Alex Jones talks with Webster Tarpley about the impending economic collapse. All that and more up next. InfoWars Nightly News.
Top story tonight, Rome burned, will we? And this is an article I put together with Alex Jones. As America's engineered economic implosion accelerates, the parallels with how the Roman Empire fell are staggering. America is now ruled by a gaggle of completely corrupt financial terrorists who will stop at nothing to hollow out the country in pursuit of their own maniacal and selfish gain. This precisely parallels Rome's rapacious ruling emperors and senators of the 5th century who were so obsessed with seizing wealth and control that they ended up destroying their own culture, their own country, and the whole empire in the process. So basically, this is mainly about the planned financial implosion with, of course, the so-called stress tests on the banks coming up. The banks are being told by the Federal Reserve, prepare for a collapse and the government's not going to help you. But it's also about the innumerable similarities that 21st century America shares with the Roman Empire. And it's just amazing how close they parallel, how close they match up. You know, we've got the United States with troops stationed in some 130 countries now, outstripping anything the Romans ever had in terms of occupation. But, of course, sharing the same impossible task of maintaining such a sprawling empire when the US can't afford it. It's gone bankrupt, 16 trillion in debt. Meanwhile, we've got the ruling greedy elite centralizing power and wealth, capitalizing, hijacking the very financial crisis they created to do so, just as the Roman emperors and senators did back in the empire. And also, of course, record numbers of Americans, about a third of the whole population, on some form of government welfare. Same situation in Rome. So again, we've also got the moral decline of America, you know, added to the obsession with sports and entertainment, which is directly contributing to the decay in society because people are just obsessed with entertainment, bread and circuses. They've abandoned their civic duties. They're no longer interested. Same thing happened in Rome, almost exactly the same thing. That's, of course, where the phrase bread and circuses came from. There's actually a poem or a quote in this article written by the poet Juvenal from 100 AD. He was talking about Rome at the time. And he wrote about how people had sacrificed their involvement in real affairs, you know, which directly impacted their lives and substituted them for bread and circuses. Exactly the same thing happening in America today. Just as in Rome, we've got in America a situation where an overwhelming number of illegal immigrants have flooded in and refused to assimilate to the point where they're now trying to actually claim their own territory, just as the tribes that flooded into Rome did all those centuries ago. So again, same parallel. You know, we got these La Raza movements. We got the Mexican flag being flown above the American flag in places over on the West Coast. We got race being played off against race. Exactly what happened in Rome. You can go through all the scholarly texts about how Rome collapsed. And in almost every instance in society, in the economy, in culture, America parallels Rome in every sense. It's scary. So, you know, where's it all leading? It might take a couple of hundred years. The Roman Empire lasted for, what, nearly 1,000 years. So we don't know the time frame, but what we do know is short term, all this is going to lead to riots and civil unrest. And eventually it's going to lead to the collapse of America, just as Rome collapsed 1,600 years ago. So basically, this article's about the ruling class. Are they so consumed by their avarice and lust for power that their actions could lead to the actual collapse of Western civilization? Because it's happened before in history with the Roman Empire and other empires, and there's no reason it can't happen again. So Rome burned, will we? Important article up at Infowars.com that I put together with Alex Jones. Paul Ryan sold shares on same day as private briefing of banking crisis. This is out of The Guardian. Paul Ryan, Mitt Romney's vice presidential running mate, sold stock in US banks on the same day he attended a confidential meeting where top-level officials disclosed the sector was heading for a deep crisis. The congressman on Monday denied profiting from information gleaned from the meeting on 18 September 2008, when Federal Reserve Chairman Ben Bernanke, then Treasury Secretary Hank Paulson and others outlined their fears for the banking sector. His office said he had no control over the trades. Public records show that on the same day as the meeting, Ryan sold stock in troubled banks, including Wachovia and Citigroup, and bought shares in Goldman Sachs, Paulson's old employer, and a bank that had been disclosed to be stronger than many of its rivals. The sale was not illegal at the time. So, you know, what a surprise, yet another compromised politician. He's now going to be Mitt Romney's running mate. You know, another insider on the take, another water carrier for the banking elite. Got his dirty hands involved in these little insider deals before they know the bank's going to go down, selling shares, buying shares in others. And as we exposed last night on the show, I mean, Paul Ryan is just another big government, you know, wolf in sheep's clothing. He's not a real conservative. But the talking heads have told us that, you know, the conservative movement is all happy and excited about him running as a VP. So what exactly are they excited about? Is it, you know, the fact he said yes to No Child Left Behind, the expansion of Medicare? He really loves all that kind of socialism. Is it the fact that he continually supports all the unconstitutional wars? Your guess is as good as mine. But now Paul Ryan got his hand in the till, and he's been exposed as another water carrier for the banking elite. So don't expect a lot of change with him.